Testing for molds. In the previous sections, we discussed environmental hazards such as radon gas and lead contamination that may exist within residential properties. Another environmental condition that may affect the health and safety of occupants is mold growth within a structure. Molds are a natural and common part of the outdoor environment. In nature, molds play an important role in breaking down dead organic materials such as wood, leaves, and plant matter. This decomposition process helps recycle nutrients within ecosystems. However, when mold begins growing inside homes or buildings, it can become problematic. Indoor mold growth can damage building materials and may also create health concerns for occupants. Molds produce microscopic spores that become airborne and spread easily through indoor and outdoor air. These spores are not visible to the naked eye, which allows them to travel unnoticed through ventilation systems and indoor air currents. When mold spores land on a surface that contains organic material and moisture, they may begin to grow and reproduce. Indoor mold growth can cause a variety of health symptoms. Mold exposure may trigger allergic reactions, respiratory irritation, skin irritation, headaches, and hay fever-like symptoms such as sneezing, runny noses, and red or watery eyes. Most individuals experience only mild symptoms when exposed to mold spores. However, people who suffer from allergies, asthma, or weakened immune systems may experience more serious reactions. In certain cases, exposure to mold toxins known as mycotoxins may contribute to more severe health effects, including respiratory problems, fever, severe headaches, pulmonary irritation, and other complications. Individuals who are most vulnerable to mold exposure include young children, elderly individuals, and people with compromised immune systems. Because mold spores are present naturally in the environment and can travel long distances through the air, it is nearly impossible to eliminate mold spores completely. Instead, preventing mold growth inside buildings requires controlling moisture and humidity levels. Without moisture, mold cannot grow. Therefore, eliminating moisture sources is the most important step in preventing indoor mold growth. Causes of mold. Understanding. The causes of mold growth is essential for identifying potential mold risks within residential properties. As discussed previously, mold requires moisture, organic material, and appropriate temperatures in order to grow. These conditions can often exist inside homes if moisture problems are present. There are many possible sources of moisture that may contribute to mold growth inside buildings. Some of these sources may be obvious, while others may remain hidden for long periods of time. Common causes of indoor mold growth may include construction defects, water leaks, plumbing failures, and excessive humidity levels. Examples of conditions that may create moisture problems inside homes include gaps between siding and structural framing caused by construction defects, leaking roofs that allow rainwater to enter the building, damp or poorly ventilated crawl spaces, bathrooms without proper ventilation systems, malfunctioning humidifiers, leaking washing machine hoses, faulty refrigerator ice makers, overwatered houseplants, pet doors or openings that allow moisture to enter the home. These examples illustrate how mold growth may occur in many different ways. In reality, any condition that introduces moisture into a home may potentially support mold growth. The most important principle to remember is that mold cannot grow without moisture. Controlling water intrusion and indoor humidity levels is therefore the key to preventing mold problems. Mold's water source. To understand how mold grows indoors, it is helpful to understand the water cycle that occurs naturally in the environment. Water continuously moves between the ground, the atmosphere, and the surface of the earth through a process known as the hydrologic cycle. During this cycle, water changes form repeatedly as it moves between solid, liquid, and gaseous states. Pure water is naturally colorless, odorless, and tasteless, and it can exist in three forms: solid, ice; liquid, water; gas, water vapor. Each of these forms interacts with buildings differently and can influence whether mold growth is likely to occur. Solid water. Solid water exists in the form of ice or frozen water. When water freezes, its molecules spread farther apart, causing ice to become less dense than liquid water. This is why ice floats. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Because mold typically grows best in temperatures ranging from 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, frozen water does not generally create conditions that support mold growth. Liquid water. Liquid water is the most common form of moisture encountered in residential environments. Leaks, spills, plumbing failures, flooding, and condensation may all introduce liquid water into building materials. When liquid water is present, along with organic materials such as wood, drywall, wallpaper adhesives, fabrics, or paper-based construction materials, mold may begin to grow. Modern construction materials often include paper-based drywall and other cellulose products that can serve as ideal food sources for mold when moisture is present. Water can also exist in a gaseous state known as water vapor. This form of moisture is often less obvious, but can still contribute significantly to mold growth. Water vapor forms when warm air contains moisture that later condenses on cooler surfaces. For example, moisture may condense on windows, walls, pipes, or other surfaces when warm, humid air contacts cooler building materials. When indoor humidity levels become elevated, moisture may accumulate within building materials, carpeting, furniture, and insulation. If indoor humidity levels rise above approximately 70%, mold growth becomes more likely. Maintaining indoor humidity levels below 60% is generally recommended to help prevent mold growth. Proper building ventilation and humidity control are important strategies for managing indoor moisture levels. Air conditioning systems can help remove moisture from indoor air during warm weather. However, if HVAC systems are improperly sized or poorly maintained, they may cool indoor air without adequately removing humidity. Other common sources of indoor water vapor include clothes dryers, cooking appliances, showers, and space heaters. For this reason, clothes dryers should be vented outdoors, and bathroom exhaust fans should be used during showers or baths to reduce indoor humidity. Kitchen ventilation fans can also help remove moisture generated during cooking activities. Finding mold growth can sometimes be difficult to detect because it may develop in areas that are not easily visible. For example, mold may grow inside walls, beneath flooring materials, under carpets, inside attics, or beneath crawl spaces where it may remain hidden for extended periods. In addition, many property owners may not recognize the early signs of mold growth. Minor discoloration around windows, ceilings, or walls may be mistaken for ordinary stains or cosmetic damage. Because mold growth may remain hidden, property owners sometimes experience symptoms such as headaches, allergies, or respiratory irritation, without realizing that mold exposure may be the cause. For these reasons, mold inspections performed by qualified professionals may sometimes be recommended during real estate transactions. Real estate professionals should also remain alert to potential indicators of mold problems, including musty odors, water stains, visible discoloration, or evidence of past water leaks. Protecting your interests. Because mold growth may remain hidden inside buildings, both sellers and real estate agents should take reasonable steps to identify potential mold issues during the transaction process. Agents representing sellers should discuss any known water leaks, plumbing problems, roof leaks, or past moisture issues that may have occurred at the property. If the seller previously experienced water intrusion problems, the agent should determine how the issue was identified, what repairs were performed, and whether the underlying cause of the moisture problem was fully resolved. Questions that may help identify potential mold risks include: have you experienced any water leaks inside the home? How was the leak discovered? What repairs were made to correct the problem? Was mold ever discovered on the property? How was the mold removed or remediated? If water intrusion problems have occurred, these details should be documented in inspection reports, disclosure documents, and seller property disclosures. Documenting these issues in writing helps ensure that buyers are properly informed and helps reduce potential liability for sellers and licensees in the future. By remaining attentive to signs of moisture problems and encouraging proper inspections when appropriate, real estate professionals can help protect both buyers and sellers while promoting safer and more transparent real estate transactions. Online discussion. Why is moisture control the most important factor in preventing indoor mold growth? Answer: mold requires moisture to grow. Without a continuous source of moisture, mold spores cannot develop into active mold colonies. Why can mold problems sometimes remain hidden in homes for long periods of time? Answer: mold may grow inside walls, under flooring, or in attics and crawl spaces where it is not easily visible to occupants. Why should agents ask sellers about previous water leaks or moisture problems? Answer: water intrusion is one of the most common causes of mold growth, so identifying past moisture problems can help determine whether mold risks may exist.